I can't even snap my fingers anymore. I'm too tired. um, Time for another fragrance review. I'm gonna do multiple fragrances just because that's easier than doing one. Just knock a lot of them out at once, right? So I'm gonna do a few fragrances from the House of Kerosene because I've never done anything from him before. So I'm gonna give you some of my pauper opinion review impression of some of his fragrances. First, I'm gonna do Follow because I think if people watch my channel, they know that I'm into coffee fragrances. So he came out with something new. I believe it was last year, Follow. What do I think of Follow? Well, at first I was like, whoa. Like at first, the first blast is super coffee for sure. It's like a big, definitely roasted coffee, right? I would almost think of it. Imagine if coffee was like, let's say if it was like, imagine if you're pouring a beer or champagne or wine or something like that, right? And you're pouring this coffee, whatever, like imagine like a beer or something, right? There's just so much foam and the coffee in it is just bubbling to the top. It's just so rich, thick, creamy, and delicious, right? It's like really nice. It's a big coffee blast. It's nice, right? But unfortunately, this is pretty short-lived for me. After so many minutes, right, it gets bitter really fast, and the real thick, kind of like real authentic novelty, if you will, depending on your perspective, coffee smell, it just starts to go away pretty quickly for me. And you just get kind of like a bitter coffee kind of smell, like a bitter kind of smell. It honestly reminds me a lot kind of something like Espresso Royale, and I know some people like that fragrance, but I do not like Espresso Royale. I don't really think it smells like coffee. I don't think it smells good, period. I even think it smells kind of like ginger snap cookies almost. It kind of, like I said, it kind of gives me an Espresso Royale vibe when I smell this. And I'm talking about the fragrance, of course. Hopefully, you guys realize that. And it doesn't smell that good to me. It kind of smells almost kind of like imagine some kind of like bitter leftover candy, coffee-ish candy that you found on the floor. It's stale and you forgot that it fell on the floor and it just I guess that's where the sweetness is. It has kind of like a stale, bad coffee candy kind of smell. Again, almost like espresso royale, that fragrance. I just don't like it. I don't think it smells very good. There is a bit of a freshness aspect to it. And I mean, just going by the notes, I guess maybe it's the way the benzoin is used. You know what I mean? So it's got that kind of like that smoky kind of freshness. You know what I mean? From that kind of like the balmy. I hope you know what I'm. Whatever. I'm not good at picking out notes. Okay, so I'm not gonna act like I'm some huge perfume. You know what I mean? The master of all reviewers on YouTube, but I'm gonna guess that smoky freshness is from the benzoin, whatever. But yeah, like I said, it has a great opening, but after that, it reminds me a lot of something like Espresso Royale, and I don't really like that. For what it's worth, it does smell much more coffee-ish than Espresso Royale, but it's not a good smell to me. That's end of the story, right? So great opening again, but after that, I don't really care for it. I do feel so in terms of like just for where we're at in terms of if you care about my terrible opinion on coffee fragrances. I think in terms of pure novelty, and I'm not going to count New Harlem in any of this because although I think New Harlem smells really good, and I do think it's borderline novelty in the scent itself, I don't really think of coffee when I smell New Harlem. I think of breakfast. So we're knocking that out, right? So in terms of like novelty kind of coffee fragrances, I think Tonkaccino and Barista's Legendary smell better than this, and I would rather wear those, right? Certainly, Follow is much more of a black kind of coffee for sure, but I just think Tonkaccino and Barista's Legendary, they just smell much better. And in terms of being more loosely, but you can still smell a good amount of coffee, I think by Killian's Intoxicated is better, and so is something like Pure Tonka. And I do like Pure Tonka more than Pure Coffee because, again, Pure Coffee, when I think of Pure Coffee, I just think of a wearable Amen with a little bit more of a coffee smell. I don't really think of coffee when I smell Pure Coffee from Terry Mugler. I just think of again, a wearable Amen with a little bit more coffee. Hopefully you get what I'm trying to say. So yeah, I guess if you like scents like Espresso Royale or maybe Sensei, which I guess is Shihan, but I haven't smelled Shihan, so I don't know if they smell much different. But I guess it's rebranded, renamed Shihan. But I guess if you like coffee kind of fragrances like Espresso Royale or Shihan, I would recommend smelling Follow. But I don't think it smells good. So if you're going by what I think smells good, I guess I don't recommend it. I don't know. But if you like those kind of fragrances, then I recommend it. Whatever. After that, next one I'm gonna do is Blackmail. Now, Blackmail you can only get at a certain boutique, I guess, in Texas, right? So I, I guess I probably did that because it's kind of like fun to have your own fragrance and maybe also make money. I don't know. Anyway, but you can only get it one place, I guess. And I would actually say this is my favorite kerosene fragrance that I've smelled. How would I say that this smells? Now, there's only so many notes listed in this one. I just think it's like amber, vanilla, maybe incense, oud, and sandalwood. Is that it? Oh, and juicy berries, I guess, right? Dark berries. Now, the weird thing is, for this, when they gave like, they give the description of the fragrance, so like a hint of dark berries. Well, I'm gonna be honest, for me, I get a lot of a berry smell out of this, right? How would I compare this to this fragrance? For the first part of the fragrance, maybe first half, whatever, how long do you want to say it, right? Imagine you are three distances away, right? There's three set points on the map, right? Now the closest point or whatever it is, let's say there's like a fireplace, right? And you're cooking the firewood you're using is like a little bit of oud, but this isn't really stanky, but let's go with the notes that they're giving, right? A little bit of oud, a little bit of sandalwood, maybe a little bit of amber sap, if you want to call it that, is still on the wood, right? And you're burning that, right? So that's like the closest when you smell it right on your skin, right? When you smell it right when this starts off, you can smell up close to your skin. It's still very like, kind of smoky, and you're like in the fire with the wood, right? But the further away you go, you start to get, say, the marshmallow that you're roasting on the campfire, right? It's kind of like, a velvety vanilla, kind of a little bit of a marshmallow, right? And then the even further away you get from the marshmallow in this fireplace is, say, the smoke that is coming off the marshmallow is somehow a berry smoke. Somehow the marshmallow is melting an aroma of like berries, right? And so it's kind of strange. Like, so when this starts off, you know what I mean? And I should say actually the first half of it probably, right? You get it from far away, you get whiffs of like a juicy berry kind of smell, and then you get closer, then you get the kind of vanilla smell. But then when you get in closer to the fireplace or your hand, you know what I mean? You bring whoever wants to smell you to your neck, whatever. All I can smell is like the woody notes. I can smell like, the incense, the woody, the sandalwood, whatever, like this little bit of oud. It's like it's kind of strange, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, so berries to vanilla to the fireplace where you're just getting like more of the kind of just woody smell. So that's kind of like strange because I don't smell, it's like you got to be at a certain place to smell the berries or whatever, and the sweetness, right? Hopefully you get what I'm saying. But as the scent starts to dry down, strangely, the berries kind of in the vanilla kind of like merge with the woody notes. And even when you're up closer, you still get a lot of the juicy berries, even up close. It's like dampened. I don't want to say the word moist, right? But it's kind of like dampened the wood or whatever. And so then the mix kind of really comes together, I guess. And it's not just depending on where you're smelling, where you're getting a whiff of it, you're getting different aspects of the fragrance. It's just all kind of mixed together. Does that make any sense whatsoever? Maybe not. I tried to make it interesting, right? So there's like three stages of where you're smelling levels, whatever. That's how I would think of this. I actually think this smells pretty good. I would wear this. I would wear it, and that's the best compliment I can give something, right? I think it smells pretty good. I think it is a little bit weird that you would think that the berries and this juiciness would be kind of like the most volatile part of the fragrance, and so you would think that that would disappear, but it doesn't. Actually, the berries and that sweetness, that juiciness stays kind of throughout, and it's the woody like incense smokiness that dies down. Kind of weird, dude, but that's what I get. And that's also the next phrase. What I get out is maybe kind of a bit of weird. Broken Theories, right? Broken Theories is the other one. What did I get out of Broken Theories? Broken Theories is very ashy, incensey. The strange one about this is it's also kind of reverse as well because this has like that Mandarin orange, I think, in it, right? And some of these other like sweet notes. But again, thinking about volatile notes, notes that should be dissipating quicker. At least that you would think so, right? I actually found that as the scent went on, I got more of the, is it Mandarin orange? God, I should probably look at the notes again. It's been a while since I've worn this. Like, what did it come out, like 2 years ago? I just never did a review on it, right? But whatever the juiciness of it, you can smell more of it as it dries down. But you would think that you would be able to smell more of it when it starts off. But I felt when I smelled this one and tried this one, that the incense and the ashiness are just so strong at first. It's basically covering up all the sweetness. It's covering up the tobacco. It's covering up this like, orange, citrus note. And then as it dries down, the smoke from this fire starts to die down. And then again, let's think of it that now the fireplace, now the wood from the fireplace is just dampened with this sweet and citrus note, right? So again, you would kind of think that these citrus notes, if you will, juicy sweetness would be a little more thicker at the top. At least I would think. Do you know what I mean? Going by what's going on here, but actually, it was kind of reverse of what I thought I was going to be getting. For me personally. Anyway, though, whatever the case, Broken Theories, though, it's pretty harsh. I think it's definitely, it's not harsh enough that it's unenjoyable or unwearable or anything. I just don't think it's I just think it's more of a vibe fragrance. And I don't think it smells good enough to warrant me wanting to be that vibe. Like it's not something I don't think it was bad. I just didn't think it was good. Do you get what I'm saying? So yeah, kind of like really smoky, incense, ashy. Unfortunately, a lot of the aspects that I wanted, that tobacco, that sweetness, you don't really smell a lot of that until all the smoky ashness starts to dry down. And it's not till the dry down. So I feel like most of the time when you're in public and you would wear this, the people in your central are just going to be smelling the incense. So unless that kind of incense, etc., is your vibe, I just don't think it's that interesting to me. Not a bad fragrance, but not a good enough smelling fragrance for me to warrant wanting that vibe. Does that make sense? Hopefully. And the last one I'm gonna do Unforsaken, I guess. I know this was getting, I think this came out maybe 2 or 3 years ago as well. I know this was getting some hype. Honestly, this was just pretty much a soapy neroli orange blossom kind of bomb. It's not really my kind of fragrances. I only tried it because some people were saying they were getting like an orange creamsicle out of it. I didn't really get an orange creamsicle vibe out of it. I didn't get those aspects of the fragrance. It was just really kind of soapy and dull and interesting to me. And they're just not really my kind of fragrances, so I don't really have anything too interesting to say about it. I know some people like fragrances like these, but I didn't really get the gourmand aspects that some people got. It just smelled like, oh, it's kind of like a soapy whatever fragrance. Wasn't interesting to me. At least something like, say, if I were to wear Love, from By Killian, that definitely has kind of like an orange blossom, a little bit of a soapy vibe. But it also, the gourmand aspects of that really come out. You can smell that pastel marshmallow. It's not like a real marshmallow, because like those colorful pastel marshmallows are different, right? But you get that kind of like, sweet vanilla, sugary, caramel, pastel marshmallow with just a hint of that soapy cleanness as well. But this, I really just got, it's like, it's kind of like a soapy orange blossom really kind of scent to me. It wasn't interesting to me. So some people liked it. My nose did not pick up on these aspects of the fragrance. Just saying. I will say, if you like any of these scents, though, I do feel like performance-wise, they'll perform pretty well. So I don't really have an objection with the performance. So the performance is pretty good with all of them. Anyway, yeah, there's like a few reviews, 4 reviews, quadruple reviews of some fragrances keeping my channel active. Karate Chop, Invisible Karate Chop. Thanks for watching.